You know, I even remember back when I was in elementary school, there used to be a lot of talk about the lack of Black teachers. And I remember when my family first moved to New Jersey, and the entire student body, I would say probably a third of us were Black during those times. And as far as the teachers, there were two Black teachers out of the entire school. That was a disgrace. It was one Black man and one Black woman, and that was it. The rest of the teachers were overwhelmingly white female. And I remember we would have discussions about that, why there were so many Black students in the school, and the school made very little effort to hire Black teachers. But it wasn't until I got older and I realized this is how you sabotage children in the Black community. You can't let teachers that look like them be in the classroom, because then they start connecting with that teacher on a level that they simply cannot connect with white female teachers. And those teachers will care where the white female teacher won't care. She won't have a care or concern to that kind of magnitude with Black children. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are in 2019, and absolutely nothing has changed. In fact, there are many Black children that will go through K through 12 without having a single Black teacher. That is a disgrace. That is an absolute disgrace. So this came out in the Hartford Courant. In Connecticut and across the country, minority students generally taught by white educators. November 25th, 2019. And in my opinion, this does not look right. I don't care what nobody say. This does not look right. It didn't look right when I was in school. It don't look right now. But see, just understand one thing, ladies and gentlemen. They can't sabotage your children unless they got access to them. If they got access to them, that's the only time they can sabotage them. So when you homeschool or you put your children in a more Afrocentric school where they don't have 100% access to them, always notice those children always tend to be a lot smarter. That's because these white teachers aren't around them anymore. So now the sky is the limit on what they will learn and what can be taught to them. And that's absolutely what they don't want. They don't want you to excel. So this is why it's critical. If you're going to keep your children in these schools, it is critical that you educate them on top of what they're learning in school. That way they can excel. They can't stop your children from excelling, no matter how hard they try. If they can excel, they will. But if you're not spending that extra time, then actually they win. You're only accepting what's being taught, and these teachers do not teach well. They don't. They do not teach well at all. In fact, if I had to choose, I would ban them from teaching. After looking at the state of what the Black community looked like, I would ban these teachers. I would never let them teach another day. You lucky I'm not in charge. You're lucky I'm not in charge. They wouldn't be teaching anywhere. Now, they're talking about a young woman that's a high school senior by the name of Kayla Ireland. And she talks about the educators being mostly white, but the student body is majority minority students. Now, you know how they talk about, oh, well, in 2040, no, ladies and gentlemen, that's here now. That's here now. And I've been telling y'all this. So I'm going to go down to the part of the story that pretty much says that. Like I said, look at this picture. That doesn't look right to me. It shouldn't be this way. But you got very insecure people that are in charge right now. And see, we are not naturally dumb people, ladies and gentlemen. We have been heavily sabotaged. There's a big difference. And they know it's a big difference too. That's why they want to be the ones in front of students that look like this. They know it too. So let me go down to this part. Now, remember all the stories. Oh, 2040, this is going to be majority minority or minority majority. Well, it's here now. Now, it says right here in the opening sentence of this paragraph, more than half of the students in American public schools are minorities. We're already there. We're already there. This population has already shifted, y'all. Open your eyes. Look around you. More than half. More than half. So why are they giving you this 2040 nonsense? Because they're trying to stay in power. They're trying to stay in power. They're trying to justify it. We're already at the point where it's not justifiable. So if the schools are more than half minority, and think about the videos over this past summer, I put a video out that said for the first time in the history of America, the newcomers in the workforce, 18 to 25 years old, was less white. This ain't just the schools. It's even out here in the workforce. It's here now. More than half of the students in American public schools are minorities. But the teaching force is still 80% white. Why? Why? They couldn't justify this to save their mama's life. The reason why is because these people are going to try to keep themselves in charge as long as possible. Their time is done now. It ain't no 2040. And look, you even saw universities put out news articles about their student bodies. Less white. Harvard, less white. Yale, less white. Those stories came out too. It's here now. Not no damn 2040. According to statistics from the U.S. Education Department, as mounting research highlights the benefits minority teachers can bestow on students. Now, that is very true. Now, when you have a Black teacher, you certainly get the attention. Your children will get the attention they deserve. They will feel connected with that teacher, because I know that's how I felt when I had a Black teacher. You will feel connection with them. And you will feel like they really care. I didn't feel that from white teachers. Like they really cared about their Black student body. I knew they didn't. You could feel it. You can't hide that shit because you're in a classroom with black students. You can't hide that. So they're just talking about Kamala Harris spoke on this. And I mean, yeah, you politicians knew about this too. Y'all, again, this is another thing the politicians have turned their backs on. They knew this imbalance of these white female teachers out here and hardly no black teachers in these public schools, and it was never addressed. All these decades, they knew this was the case and never ever addressed this issue. Again, trying to stay in power, trying to stay in control was more important to them than addressing this issue, and it was never addressed by the Democrats and not even by the Republicans at all. So they're just talking about programs for college students to become teachers. And I've heard about that even back when I was growing up, y'all. This is really nothing new. This is nothing new at all. The Waterbury school system has taken steps to close the racial gap following complaints from the NAACP. Its limited success so far highlights some of the challenges of addressing the problem, which some see as rooted in teacher training programs and barriers that date back to the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education ruling that led to desegregation. An agreement reached by the State Human Rights Commission and Waterbury's mayor in 2017 committed the city to build a partnership with Black colleges and universities for recruiting purposes to train students interested in teaching beginning as early as middle school and to provide cultural competency training to current educators. In 2016, National Teacher of the Year, Waterbury's Johanna Hayes was hired as the top recruiter before becoming the first Black woman from Connecticut elected to Congress in 2018. Okay. Known as Brass City for its historical brass production, Waterbury has 19,000 students in its school district. The number of Black and Hispanic educators has been rising, but the teaching force is still 80%, 86% white as of the last school year. That's ridiculous. How do you have a student body that's mostly Black and Hispanic, and your teachers are 86% white? Again, how do you misguide and miseducate a group of people? You keep your people all up in their faces. This should be rejected, ladies and gentlemen. This should be rejected. There should not be no 86% white teachers, and you got 19,000 students that are mostly Black and Hispanic. That's ridiculous. Unjustifiable. Among new hires, the percentage of minority teachers jumped above 30% for 2 years before falling back around 25% last year, because they really don't want to do this. Just understand, they really don't want to do this. They want to keep themselves in front of your children's faces, slowing them down. And, you know, it's time for this to change. It's long overdue. It should be demanded, especially from the Black community. 86% white teachers and a student body of 19,000 of Black and Hispanic children. No, it's time for this to change. And even if your politicians aren't saying anything, we can say plenty about it and should. You should be looking around and asking why. You know how educated Black people are, probably more educated, ladies and gentlemen, today than we ever have been in this country. We got so many Black men and women today with degrees. It's no excuse for something like this to go on anymore. Like I said, it's unjustifiable. It's completely unjustifiable. So these things are going to be slow to change, because if they're not in front of us, they think they're losing control. So these things are going to be very slow to change. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, we must still stay on this path and ask, if the student body looks like this, why do the teachers look like that? You have every right to ask that question. You're paying taxes where your children are going to school. And it needs to be addressed. And changes need to be swift. It don't need to be no slow changes that it's going to take us 10 years to get to this. But no, no, it needs to be swift changes. Swift. Now, this part of the story, I think, is really good right here. It's a perfect example. Kayla remembered the police brutality discussion as an example of when a white teacher struggled to connect with Black students. Exactly. This white teacher can't give Black children advice on what to do around police. They say stupid shit to us. Do everything the cops say. You do everything the cops say, and they still pull the damn trigger. Respect the police. You show respect for the police, they still pull the damn trigger. They don't have no advice to give us, ladies and gentlemen, children or adults. They have no advice to give us about the subject matter of police brutality. They come around us and say all kinds of stupid shit, as if none of them things have ever been done. And people still end up dead. Because shooting Black people in America is big business. Okay. So, um, another example was during a sophomore year English course, a teacher assigned the class to read The Hate You Give, a young adult novel about a police shooting. As students talked about how they avoid going into stores with hoodies on, the teacher understood but could not relate. She said, "This is why white female teachers should not always be in the presence of Black students, because you can't connect to us. You weren't even connecting to us when I was in school. So I know damn well you're not connecting to these students today." After the mass suspension of over 150 students for dress code violations at Wilby in the spring of 2017, the appointment of a Black principal brought optimism that the climate would improve, Kayla said. With more minority educators, she said, there would be less antagonism. Exactly. And see, y'all care about things that we simply don't care about. And you just can't force that on people and expect them to respect you. It just doesn't work that way. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this story. I think this is something that should have been happened in America, but remember, we're not in a society that makes sense. We're in this one. So our kids definitely need exposure around Black teachers, whether you want to be their teacher at home or if you can find a school, because there are a lot of Afrocentric schools cropping up across America, and Black people are taking advantage of that. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think our kids need to see Black educators and understand that this is not normal. This is not normal, y'all. I don't care what anybody say. This is not normal. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.